Okay, we're live.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order. And we'll begin by acknowledging that we are gathered tonight in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral, present, and future territory of the Mi'kmaq people. And tonight we gather with the intent followed by the living peace and friendship treaties, and we do so with respect, cooperation, and coexistence. The meeting is called to order. I'd like to note that we do have members of the incoming council, and that'll be the key focus point for tonight. And we also have the members of the outgoing council. And in addition, we have Senator John Bain joining us just to keep us on. Everything's done right. Nice to see you, John.
Thank you.
Council, you have an agenda. We're into two meetings tonight. The first meeting will be to clean up the details of the business hanging over us from the prior council meetings. And the second meeting will begin with the swearing in of the new council mayor. So it'll be two separate agendas. So we're calling for the approval of the agenda for the first meeting. What is your wish, Councillor Carver?
So move.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Councillor now seconds. All in favor on the question? Motion is carried. We'll go right to the minutes of the special meeting of October the 4th. What is your wish?
Mayor, I'd move that we approve the minutes as submitted.
Thank you. Seconded by Mayor-elect Suzanne Lowens-Croft. Thank you. On the question, all in favor? Motion is carried. And let's go to the regular meeting of October the 8th, 2024, which was the last time that we met.
I'll move that those minutes be accepted as circulated.
Thank you, Councillor Carver. Seconder?
Second.
Councillor Wilson, moved and seconded on the question. All in favor? That motion is carried. Let's
Your
go
worship.
right to item 3.
Your worship,
Sorry,
I have a
Councillor Carver.
question. May I have permission to take a photograph while you're during the meeting?
All depends who you want to take
I'd
photographs.
like to take a photograph of you.
Yeah, go ahead,
Thank you.
please. Go ahead. While Councillor Carver is getting a flashbulb into the big. The outgoing council members are here with us tonight. And I would like to thank, in particular, the deputy mayor, Francis Kangata, who was elected. The person who gets the most votes in the election gets to be the deputy mayor. And the thought process is, if something happens to the mayor, then we know that the person who's going to be the deputy and will act for the mayor is the council candidate who had the most votes. So that person arguably was the most popular candidate with the public. And after all, that's what council is doing here, is to represent the public. All right? So thank you to Deputy Mayor Kangata. Always count on the deputy mayor when the discussions were getting long and dragged out, as they sometimes do. Deputy mayor was always there with a motion to get us past it and get the thing moving again. So I thank you for that. And of course, Councillor Richard Now, who has been on council for a number of years and is one of the people that know where all the bodies are buried. He's been here for a long time in the town. He's originally from here. He knows the how and why of a lot of things that are happening today, how they came to be. he was a replacement on council when Senator Bain and Deputy Mayor up the hill.
No.
When he left, he was the memory for council. Richard took on that job. Plus, he was the fire chief. He's still a member of the volunteer fire department. His wife's a member of the volunteer fire department. They both work the food bank. They both work the VON. There's not much that goes on in this town that Richard either is now or has been an active supporter of. So Richard, I thank you for all of your time as well. And I would suppose I could thank Suzanne Lomas Croft, but we're thanking you by giving you even more to do. That's your reward. Okay, so we have Penny Carver, returning council member. This is your fourth term, I think, Penny. And Councillor Wilson, this is your fourth, third, three. Oh yeah, you took a vacation.
Thank you very much.
And Councillor Feeney is back with us. And of course, Suzanne Lomas Croft, who joined us through a by-election halfway through the term last couple of years ago, has now been chosen as the mayor for Mahone Bay. And the new members of council are Rebecca Twanow. Rebecca, where are you?
Oh, she was here.
Okay, Brian Pelferman.
He's here in the waiting room too.
He's waiting as well, and the person directing the crowds in the waiting room is Colin Kingsmill. He is our new deputy mayor. And with that, I believe that completes the agenda for the first meeting. So we will adjourn this meeting and immediately we will, under the auspices of the clerk, start the next meeting. Okay? Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion. The agenda's done. We don't need.
Oh, we don't need that for anymore. That's right. Good.
Boy.
You still got the one ceremonial duty to do here.
What? Oh, yes.
Musical chairs here now.
Great.
Not sure how I'm feeling about Penny being so far away.
Somebody learned to behave, right?
I don't know.
That's not mine.
No, it's
I'll
mine.
take Elizabeth.
I can take the chips off. I rolled up.
I'm on, forget my trash.
If I don't like it over here, I'll have it.
It'll roll in on its own.
Here she is. Pizza's here.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Eric Levy. I was the returning officer for this past election. So the results of the 2024 Town of Mahone Bay election are as follows. For the office of the mayor, Suzanne Lomas Croft, 354 votes elected. Tony Sampson, 290 votes. For the office of councillor, Penny Carver, 370 votes elected. Aaron Michael Collery, 160 votes. Joseph Maxwell Feeney, 420 votes elected. Colin Kingsmill, 421 votes elected. William D. Lewis, 264 votes. Richard L. Now, 283 votes. Brian Palferman, 390 votes elected. Rebecca Twanow, 363 votes elected. And Kelly Wilson, 351 votes elected.
I, Suzanne Lonis Croft, swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, and that I duly qualified as required by law for the office of mayor of the town of Mahone Bay, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability. And that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or undue execution of the duties of my office.
So is that it? Okay. You now get the official Roy Rogers.
Hey.
Oh, just wait.
So we get there.
Don't
Oh,
David.
We got a pizza for you.
We have a pizza. Guess what flavor?
Yeah.
On behalf of the staff and the council, we would like to present you with this special commemorative plate made here in Mahone Bay by Virgil Worthington Pottery. And on the back is, if you will need to wear glasses for sure to read the inscription, but you'll take some time.
David, Rick Welsford pointed out the fact that the skull and crossbones is at the top mast of the Mahone Bay town crest.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you
Day
very
of
much.
fire.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you very much. Put my pizza in on the way out.
I gotta put these two together with the plate and the thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
open the hall
Facebook
or-
never sleeps.
Right there.
right here. Okay.
I guess I need to
Ray already spoke it.
This thing on.
Pull the curtain behind you.
Yes, good idea.
No, no, we don't have to do
Kelly.
it. We don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Because we're, using the picture.
Her angle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
That's good, Donna.
Oh, do you want me to move?
Over here, Dave.
Over here.
Looking the wrong way. Great, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Suzanne. Good luck. Good luck to council.
Thank you.
Because we are starting,
Swearing in.
oh, right. Well, I guess I need a council. Anyway.
Flying your own.
We will start with Mr. Kingsmill.
Yep.
And you may stand and do
Okay.
your oath.
So I, Colin Kingsmill, swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for office of councillor of the town of Mahone Bay, and that I will truthfully, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of my duties of the duties of my office. There we go. I can read tonight. Mahone Bay, County of Lunenburg, 12th of November, 2024. Thank you.
Mr. Palfreyman, could you stand and take your oath?
I, Brian Palfreyman, swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of Councillor of Town of Mahone Bay, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
Mr. Feely.
I, Joseph Feeney, swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs, successors according to law. And I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of Councillor of the Town of Mahone Bay. And that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office which I've been elected to the best of my knowledge and my ability. And that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or any undue execution of the duties of my office.
I, Kelly Wilson, solemnly affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of Councillor of the Town of Mahone Bay, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
I, Penny Carver, swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, and that I'm duly qualified as required by law for the office of Councillor of the Town of Mahone Bay, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office. Thank you.
I, Rebecca Tuano, swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of Councillor of the Town of Mahone Bay, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
And that is thank you. And now we will start the second meeting. And before we start the call, I will start with acknowledging by acknowledging that we are gathered today in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral, present, and future territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Today, we gather with the intent followed by the living peace and friendship treaties with respect, cooperation, and coexistence. We are all treaty people. I call this meeting, first meeting of the new council, to order. And I ask first for a motion from one of the new council for the appointment of the deputy mayor. Councillor Feeney, and make the motion.
Aye.
Okay.
Yes.
And Mr. Palfreyman.
So moved.
Okay. Ready for the question? All those in favor? Motion is carried.
You had a vote.
You have a vote.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll start with the approval of the agenda. If people want to stay, you are welcome to stay. Some of you came just for the ceremony, and if you'd like to have a time that you can gracefully exit, we'll give you a chance to do that. And those who are staying for the meeting or part of the meeting, you can remain.
Got a lot of lotuses in here right now.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Another one.
Thank you. It's nice that people came.
Mhm.
You all have your agendas before you?
Yep.
Okay, may I, are there any errors or omissions, additions?
Would you like a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes,
I so move.
thank you.
I'll
Councilor
second.
Curry, second by Deputy Mayor. Ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Do we have members of the public who wish to give input? No? Oh, okay. Well, welcome, and I hope you enjoy this first meeting of our council. We have no presentations tonight? No presentations, okay. Correspondence, we do have correspondence. Item 5.1, we have a letter from Julie Langell, the Chief Protocol, and the Protocol and Honor Secretary of the King's Portrait. Do you have anything to add to that?
Nope, it's not visible on the camera, but it's right underneath the camera, the new picture, so we're good.
Under you, Fred. So item 5.2 is a letter from Mayor Jamie Meyer for the town of Lunenburg. It's a letter of congratulations, and you've all received that in your package. Yes,
Mayor,
Mayor.
I just, before we receive and file those two letters, I'd just like to comment how much I appreciated Mayor Myra's comments about collaboration and cooperation. I think that's really important. And I value that he has been so outgoing about that.
Yes. CEO.
I don't know if it's appropriate to get a motion on it, but I would like to suggest that maybe with the council's blessing, it would be appropriate for our new mayor to take Jamie up on this and maybe sit down and have a discussion about some of those opportunities.
Councilor Wilson.
Well, yes, thank you, CEO. I was just gonna suggest that we write him a reciprocal letter. Expounding the same things and suggesting a meeting of some sort.
I'll second that.
You'll second that? Okay, so a motion by Councilor Wilson to send a letter to Mayor Myra and his council in response to their letter. And second by Councilor Carver. Great.
Do you want to vote?
Oh, although, ready for the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. I'll get used to all this again. We're all a little rusty over the summer. We haven't had many meetings.
Don't worry, wait till wait till you're not there one day.
Hearing that, Mayor, I'd move that we receive and file those two pieces of correspondence.
Thank you, Councillor Feeney.
I'll second that.
Second that from Kingsville. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you. We will move on to staff reports. Item 6.1, LLCA CRPP application. CAO.
Thank you. How are you gonna prefer me to say this? Thank you.
No, just me.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. It's my pleasure to provide council with your first staff report and your first recommendation to the new council. I think it's a pretty painless one, but it couldn't wait. So one of the things that we have the pleasure of doing all the time is chasing after funding from higher levels of government. They usually give us a short window to apply, and this is our only council meeting this month. So we're here with a recommendation, the council endorse an application to the direct staff to apply to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Local Leadership for Climate Adaptation, Climate Ready Plans and Processes Funding Stream. So there's a good acronym to start things off. LLCACRRP or CRPP, I even get it wrong. So I'm looking for someone to make a motion and staff are direct to apply. Happy to take any questions about the proposed application. But yeah, get the motion out there.
Okay, we, being just our first meeting and we haven't had our organizing meeting, what, do you want to have a little bit of discussion or do you want to go around the table and each have a time to talk if you have something to contribute?
I'm happy to make the motion.
You're okay,
The council
Councillor
directs
Wilson?
staff to apply for a funding opportunity from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Local leadership for climate adaptability, climate ready plans and processes for the town of Mahone Bay Climate Readiness Initiative.
and is there a seconder for the, Councillor Feeney?
Sure.
Okay, second it. Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. On to item 7, council items. 7.1 is appointments for committees. We have the Joint Services Committee. This is a little different agenda than I had before. So Councillor Feeney will be sitting on that. No, it's Wilson. Councillor Wilson will be appointed and you will remain on the committee as well. Councillor Feeney? Is that?
So have we, maybe just a brief, would you mind?
Yeah, sure.
So essentially, we have a huge number of internal and external committees, but there's a couple of external committees for which we've been asked to quickly provide appointed members to ensure continuity of business for the external committees. So the council is going to have additional time to discuss appointments, but at this meeting, because we have been requested to, the Municipal Joint Services Board and the Alternative Resource Energy Authority are requesting members' appointments. And we had discussed that for some continuity, we would keep the existing members and appoint members to replace those who have gone off, unless anyone who was existing had requested to be swapped out. And, you know, while these can stand for the next 2 years, when we get into the committee selection process with the new council, looking at the wider variety of committees, and if somebody really wants to make another change, it wouldn't be the end of the world for us to feed that change back. So tonight, just those two and appointments we're looking for meetings that take place later this month. So the existing membership of the Municipal Joint Services Board that you were referencing is Councillor Feeney, Mayor Devaney, and Councillor Carver were on the Municipal Joint Services Board. So with Mayor Devaney gone, Joe would be coming back on, be looking to add you. And then I believe we did have a discussion with Councillor Carver.
And I was perfectly willing not to be continued unless there's some merit in my continuing.
And I believe you had somebody offer to.
Did I?
Deputy. Deputy.
Okay.
We had discussed that last
Yes,
Wednesday.
sorry, I forgot.
So
Yeah,
yourself and Colin and
Yeah.
Councillor Coon.
no problem.
Yeah,
That's for the Joint Services Board.
yes, yes. And the other committee was,
And so area is the other one.
Other one.
The Resource Energy Authority.
Get a motion on
I know, we can do that
Okay.
first, so we can, okay, Kelly's looking for a motion on Bisbee first, and then I'll take.
Okay.
We can move on to the next.
so,
I'm happy to move that the appointees to the Municipal Joint Services Board be Mayor Lomas Croft, Councillor Feeney, and Councillor Kingsland. Deputy Mayor Kingsmill, sorry.
Can we, I mean, we can just use counselor too, right? When we're around the table, it's easier, quicker.
I think we discussed
We have
that
to-
last week, what preference was around the table to go for the formality.
Okay.
That was, we can review it again, and that was a.
I just got.
We'll learn each
I have a
other's
cheat
names.
sheet beside me.
Yeah. Well, we will all have nameplates. They've been ordered, they just haven't been
Sounds good. Okay,
delivered yet.
no problem.
So
Councillor Carver made the motion.
I made the motion.
made motions, there a seconder for the motion?
Second.
Council Wilson. Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you.
So with the Alternative Resource Energy Authority Board, we have 2 members and an alternate member. The previous complement to membership on that board was Mayor Vinnie, Councillor Wilson, and the alternate was Councillor Feeney.
Yes.
And I believe now that we were going to just replace the outgoing Mayor Vinnie with yourself,
Yes.
reappoint Councillor Wilson and reappoint Councillor Feeney as an alternate.
Yes. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll move that the appointments to the area alternative resource energy. Authority, thank you. The Mayor Lotus Croft, Councillor Wilson with Councillor Feeney as the alternate.
Is there a seconder for that motion?
I'll second that.
Second by Councillor Kingsmill. And any discussion? Councillor Copeland?
Yes, it's a complex area and the new councillors have had no experience whatsoever or briefing on the matter of area or any of the electrical utility. I'm quite happy to vote in favour on a temporary basis until we have that in place, and that's perhaps a policy and strategy, but not on a permanent basis until confirmed later.
So are you asking for an amendment to the motion or?
I'm not, yes, I am asking for an amendment to the motion to the extent that it is an interim appointment.
Well, I mean,
We would-
to move or
so-
second, there's a couple different ways you could do it. You could
Okay.
say it's an appointment to stand until council revises or considers the decision,
By all
as
means.
opposed to setting a time frame, or you can set a time frame. That one's the most flexible. You just say until council reconsiders committee appointments.
So with the mover and seconder,
I'm just thinking that typically the appointments would be reviewed in 2 years' time anyway. I don't know. You're shaking.
Yes. That is-
Councillor Paulferman is
That is
shaking
normal,
his
but
head.
I
is
just,
normal.
I preface this by saying that we were going to wait on committees. We normally do wait 2 months on committees so that everybody has time to get up to speed on what all the committees would entail. And we were asked by these external entities, because they can't continue business, they can approve day-to-day meetings, to appoint people. So the understanding is that it is until council has had time to reconfirm or otherwise amend these appointments in the new year. But, you know, if council doesn't change it, then it's a 2-year term. So that's the value of saying in the motion, until council revisits, if you do, or setting a time frame, in which case, well, then you have to. So
Okay.
I'm willing to change the motion until council revisits the membership of
Yeah.
the appointees.
I'll second that. Sure.
you agree? Okay, so any more discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? One opposed.
I have one question.
Yes, oh, wait, we finished.
Oh, no, not on that, in general. Maybe I'll ask it later.
no, I mean, the motion's carried, so if you're not
Yeah.
asking a question on the vote, you could ask it now.
Oh, yeah, so it was just a question. So should we not have the discussion before we have the second or the motion?
No, procedurally, you need the seconder to get the motion on the floor in order to
Oh,
enable
okay,
discussion.
to discuss. All right,
If you
okay,
don't get a seconder, the motion actually
Got it.
dies. and
Yes.
it wouldn't be discussed.
perfect, got it. All clear, thank you.
We're all in this together.
Yes.
Yes, good to ask questions.
Yeah.
You could be 4 years wishing you would ask that question.
Now I know.
We have committee reports.
I'm sorry, excuse me, Mayor. I understood that Region 6 was also looking for an appointee.
Well, we are looking for an appointee, but we are going to ask if someone would like to volunteer for that appointment. It does include some travel to, that some people may not be able to accommodate. It meets quarterly and it is our waste, it's about waste management and recycling. It takes place down in Liverpool at Queen's Place. And if we don't have someone for their next meeting, it will be okay because Leslie attends that meeting anyway and can fill us in, but we really would like a member of our council to come forward. It's a good way to meet people from other councils and jurisdictions, so it's a good. Yeah.
Do we know
Councillor
when,
Carver.
do we know when the next meeting is? for Region
Early,
6?
it's the first week of December. I
Yeah,
think.
it
Also-
it would have been during NSFM and they're looking to move it to the following week.
Well, I have another question. Is there any mileage in having one of the NJSB people be the representative to Region 6?
There's a little bit of crossover. It's not essential, I wouldn't say.
Okay.
And so Region 6 did request somebody, and they do have one meeting before the new year. Because it's such a large organization, we don't contribute to the forum, and Leslie fulfills our reporting function. That's where we didn't get a volunteer, so it's not the end of the world if we don't have somebody to. Yeah.
Right. So if someone doesn't want to come forward tonight, if you want to have a discussion with me in the next week or two, I'll entertain that as well.
I think I read the agreement, the intermunicipal agreement, and my understanding is that they want an appointee and an alternate.
And an alternate,
I
okay.
believe that's correct. Good.
Yeah.
This agenda is a little different than the agenda I had last night when I read it. It had this out on it, so. All right, we'll go on to committee reports.
Did we do the other council?
7-2.
7.2.
7.2. Oh, right, the electrical utility, okay.
And because you're the chair, you have to ask if anybody else would be willing to make them.
Okay. All right, so 7.2 is Mayor Suzanne Lonis Croft being appointed to the electrical utility regulatory burden. Anyway, I would need a motion for that. The mayor typically sits in this position.
Yeah, so I guess two
understand.
quick things. Procedural one is that Suzanne and I discussed this motion and wanted to put it on the floor of this meeting as encourage election. However, Suzanne as chair procedurally cannot make a motion without vacating the chair. So sometimes the mayor will say, you know, would anyone be interested in putting this motion on the floor? The mayor can also vacate their chair if the deputy mayor steps in. Not gonna make you do that on this first meeting necessarily, but yes. We can also discuss the proposed motion before somebody would make it. That's also fine.
Councillor
Well, I'm
Carver.
prepared to make the motion and then have discussion on the motion if that's okay.
Okay,
So the motion is that council directs staff to draft a letter for the mayor's signature addressed to the Honorable Tim Houston Premier and the Honorable Tory Rushton, Minister of Natural Resources and Renewables, regarding the financial and administrative burden imposed on municipal electrical utilities in Nova Scotia, uniquely among the Atlantic provinces by the regulatory requirements of the Nova Scotia Utility and Review Board, and requesting legislative intervention, copying the mayors of Berwick, Antigonish, and Lunenburg, and the chair of the Riverport Electric Light Commission.
Second that motion.
okay. Second by Councillor Feeney. Any discussion? Councillor Feeney. And then Fulton.
I think including Lunenburg in the correspondence is wise. Strikes me as a prudent thing to do. This is, boilerplate and as per the, the ongoing strategy with the regulatory changes that are being proposed. by the province. So I think this is a wise note to send, and I think, you know, seeking the comfort of the herd with our friends in Lunenburg is a good idea.
Okay, Councillor Paul Freeman.
Two parts, I guess. The first part is a question. Are these new requirements? We have no background on this. Have this been there for years or?
So I can speak to that a little bit. So even essentially, our burden is that in order to have rates in Nova Scotia or regulations in Nova Scotia for electric utility, you're required to go through the Nova Scotia Utility Review Board process.
Yes.
So you have the options of a general rate application or on rare occasions to exercise the flow through formula. Typically, those processes involve a large upfront application with a lot of background and quite a number, sometimes more than 100 information requests back and forth. Our utility budget's an average of $100,000 a year, representing more than 5% of our operating, just for the purposes of dealing with the regulatory burden. So it's not to say how a solution could be arrived at, simply to ensure that during an election, the provincial government is well aware that we're, unlike other provinces in Atlantic Canada, putting a huge amount of the resources of our small electric utility into simply navigating the burden of having regulations and rates associated with the electric utility, which in the other Atlantic provinces, that's not the case. So that's the thought. It's not a new particular thing.
We're looking for relief, essentially.
Yeah. Can I continue?
Sure.
Okay, fine. I have no objection particularly to the motion as such, but yes, as you're right, elections are a unique opportunity to make a point or a position known to politicians. And as I've learned of late, the town is responsible for paving the provincial highway through the town, which is a substantial cost. And I also understand, but don't know for sure, that the share of the municipal of the gas tax is greater in the rural municipal areas than it is in the town. So it seemed to me on a dollars and cents term basis that there's more mileage to be gained by requesting the province to take over the responsibility for maintenance of the roads which they own anyway running through this town, and for a better share of, for reasons of equity, against the municipal rural communities.
Councillor Feeney.
So I'm all for writing letters and lobbying various levels of government for various requirements. We just would have gone through a comprehensive shared services review about the responsibilities of municipalities and the responsibilities of the province. That, you know, was a lengthy negotiation that was completed in the fall, in the spring. So I think the matter of provincial and municipal responsibilities for the highways as well has been well adjudicated and is really a settled matter at this point. With regard to the other matters, I think that makes good sense to seek support. Now, the gas tax, of course, is federal government, not provincial government, but it's worthwhile certainly sending letters to Councillor Paul Freeman's, to his credit. So I think we should stick to focusing on this motion and this regulatory strategy. I think this is a wise thing to propose.
Councillor Wilson.
Mayor, I'm just wondering, there are a couple of other irons in the fire, so to speak, on the electrical front. One being the relationship with Riverport, which may, in a fairly short term, require some legislative remedies. And I'm wondering if it's worth thinking about it as this letter in terms of including some of those other issues, or is it better to send this as a standalone and deal with the other things later? Just a question.
The AO, did you?
Well, just the thought about that in any case, I guess, is if this letter is CC'd to our candidate with the governing party, is the appropriate terminology at this point, then obviously if she's reelected, she would be the one that would be meeting with respect to the commission point. So my thought would be that this letter probably won't get an actual response during the election, I guess we'll see. But the point stands to be discussed upon the conclusion of the election. So we'd be reaching out and saying, we want to sit down with you, and we'd be able to reference this, and we'd also be able to reference that. So there's definitely a connection there, but yeah, I think right now technically staff have been directed to come back with a report pertaining to the legislative change piece. So we'd be coming December 10th. And the recommendation surely is to arrange a meeting with the chair of the report Electric Light Commission and the mayor and possibly Mayor Wittenberg with our MLA for that discussion.
Councilor Carver?
Yeah, my preference would be to keep this clean, just the one topic, sort of like an email, keep it to one topic. And then pick up the more complicated issues later. That's would be my preference.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you all for your feedback in this important area. More to be discussed, I think, at an upcoming meeting. Now we're ready for committee reports. Okay. Right, item 8, I'm really missing my computer. And it's over there. Does anyone know? I'd like to have my own. Is that all right? And I've been really missing it. I just don't have the details that everybody else has at their fingertips, so I'm used to having my computer. So under committee reports, we have South Shore Open Doors Association, their monthly report. That was in everyone's package.
Mayor, I move that we file the report for information.
Okay. And
Second.
seconded by Councilor Wilson. Discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay? Motion is carried. Thank you. The Lunenburg County Senior Safety Program, their monthly report, October 2024. I can speak to that if anyone has any questions. I'm still sitting there until a new appointee is made to the senior safety, and we are back meeting in person, and which is really, really nice. We've been at the Chester Command, their safety for meetings, and we're going to Bridgewater Police Services this month, and we have a very busy executive director who coordinator who is doing a wonderful job, especially with education and getting out to rural communities and giving all sorts of information on senior safety. And I did circulate to everybody a helping tree that will help you working with members of our community who may be seeking information that will help them with resources. Any questions?
Move that you receive this report for information.
Thank you, Councilor Wilson, second by
Second.
Deputy Mayor. Ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Under new business, we have nothing under new business, so we will take this. We do with the public questions or?
Yeah, whenever there's a closed session, we usually move to enter the closed session and then, no, we usually ask people to, it's always very awkward. Always ask people if they have questions and then resolve to enter closed session.
Yes.
And then see people off and then the closed session and then
Yes.
meeting at that, yes.
So, Kelly, do we have any questions from the YouTube audience? No questions. No questions? Does that also?
Still early.
It's still early. And can we take to
Yes.
the gallery? Anyone from the gallery have a question? or- No? Oh, yes, sure. Can you stand and
yeah,
state
sure.
your name and your address?
Yeah, sure. Quentin Casey, 932 Main Street. Just wondering, one issue that I don't think a lot of people in town understand is, the relationship with the utility, the town having its own utility. Just wondering where, you can get sort of briefed on that. I just feel in the dark on that issue, so I just wanted to get a bit more information on that. So if someone could just direct me to that source, that'd be great.
We are going to, we hope, when we do our strategic plan, get down to, better communication with topics like that, and we hope to have, maybe, open session, like town halls on certain topics going down the road. But until then, because I'm sure people are thirsty for answers and some information, maybe our CAO can.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Let
a
you-
two-part answer. The first is, if you haven't seen the section of the website, electric utility, that's where you'll find things like rates and regulations and some basic information. Other than that, as the mayor says, there isn't a lot of like ready-made, ready-to-go document. Happy to meet with you anytime, as our finance manager would be. So if you call the office downstairs, and we can just make a time and, but yeah, the website does have some info. It is pretty dry.
Sure.
But we plan to do more communication around our utilities and our committee work and moving forward. It's just going to take time for us to do that planning and get things set up. But coming to a council near you. soon. Anybody else? Well, I thank you for coming today and seeing our swearing in ceremony and being staying for the rest of the meeting. And to those of you who are viewing us on a live stream or YouTube, thank you for joining us. And we will be going into a closed section, so I would ask someone to move.
Your worship, I move that we go into closed session to discuss, litigation or potential litigation and contract negotiations as permitted under the MGA.
Is there a second? Councillor Feeney seconds the motion. And any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We will now